Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the December edition of the Regnier Institute's First Wednesday Speaker Series. And we've got a special edition of it this month, which is a showcase of our RU Idea Jump competition finalists, in addition to our speaker. So we're excited to give you a chance to see what some of our students have worked on for new startup and venture ideas over the past few months. And we're also excited to hear from our speaker for the evening, who has some really important and directly relevant ideas to share with you. So to kick us off, I would like to first introduce Dr. Actually, I will introduce our eScholars program. And this is something that we will, you'll hear a lot about tonight, because there's a lot of people that you're going to hear from tonight that have been involved in this eScholars program in different ways. eScholars is UMKC's and the Regnier Institute's Idea Stage Accelerator program. So if you have an idea for a business that you think you might want to start, eScholars is the best place at UMKC to help you do that. We will help you, one, think through your idea and identify the feasible parts of it and the less feasible parts of it. And if you get to a point where you decide that, hey, there really is something here to my idea, it could be a real business, help you to actually launch that business into a real business with real customers and real revenue. So it's a semester-long program. We run it every semester. The next cohort of the program will begin in January 2021, and you can apply at tinyurl.com/escholarsjan2021. I'll put that in the chat later, or you can reach out to entrepreneurship@umkc.edu for more information. And now I would like to introduce Dr. Jeff Hornsby. Dr. Hornsby is Executive Director of the Regnier Institute and Head of the Department of Management and Entrepreneurship here at UMKC. He's going to introduce our speaker for the first portion of our evening tonight.
Thanks, Brian. And first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank our mentors, our eScholar participants, our RU Idea Jump participants. You guys are what makes the Regnier Institute go. And all the volunteers, faculty, and staff that also worked with us. Thanks to everybody for a really good semester, given all the circumstances we're all working under. Right now, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Charles Chuck Murnieks, our speaker tonight. Chuck Murnieks is an associate professor and the A. Gottlieb Chair of Strategic Management in the Department of Entrepreneurship and Management here at the Block School at UMKC. Before joining UMKC, he held faculty positions at Oregon State University and the U.S. Air Force Academy. Before his academic career, Chuck served 20 years as an officer in the U.S. Air Force. He's an award-winning teacher and scholar, and his research has been published in many of the top journals in entrepreneurship and management. He recently co-authored a book entitled The Profits and Perils of Passion and Entrepreneurship. And he currently serves on the editorial board of 2 entrepreneurship journals and is the associate editor of the Journal of Business Venturing. He teaches courses in strategy and entrepreneurship for us here at the Block School, and he received a PhD from the University of Colorado and holds an MBA from UCLA and a BS in civil engineering from the Air Force Academy. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Charles Chuck Murnieks, and we're glad to have him at the Block School.
Jeff, thanks. Look, guys, I'm thrilled to be here. Honestly, it's taken me, as Jeff just talked about, it took me a long time. I kind of took a long circuitous route to get to Kansas City, but I've been trying to get here for a long time, so I'm thrilled to be here. I'm going to share some slides here with you guys. And then, okay, Jeff, can you see my slides? I just need to confirm it's working.
Yes, I can see your slides.
Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, guys, since Jeff just gave me a really long and nice introduction, I'm not gonna belabor that. We're not gonna go. There we go. Okay, so you don't need to know that about me. So like you said, when you talk about passion, I'm going to let you guys read this quote from Steve Jobs for a minute. So when we talk about passion, like, throughout my Air Force career as an officer, and definitely since I've been studying entrepreneurs, passion comes up. I've always been interested in what drives people, what gets people to do what they do. And especially, when you're a leader, that's important. When you're trying to motivate your people, but especially in entrepreneurship, because when you talk to entrepreneurs, when you talk to serial entrepreneurs, guys have started a lot of businesses, and definitely investors, venture capitalists, angels, they all talk about, oh, you got to have passion. Passion's critical. And it's interesting that passion comes up, that it's not, that entrepreneurs are not driven primarily by money. They're not driven by fame. They're not driven by riches. They're definitely driven by this desire to compete and win. And they're driven by this intrinsic passion that, like Steve Jobs talks about it here, because he says, and he gets into it when he says, if you don't have passion, you're not going to have the persistence. You're not going to have the resilience to fight through the adversity that's going to happen when you're an entrepreneur. And that kind of catalyzed me. I'm like, okay, so this is something I want to study. So the interesting thing, though, is when you look at passion, there's not a lot on it. And that's why we've been doing research, like, what exactly is it? And, is it different than motivation? Is it different than just like positive emotions? And kind of, we figured out, well, it's both. It definitely involves a strong motivation. It definitely involves a strong positive feeling, a desire to do something. But one of the critical things is it endures, right? It lasts a long time. So these two pictures I've got here on the right, that, you've got a runner and a basketball player. My daughter's a runner. She runs for Mizzou. She's on their cross country and track and field team. And my son's a basketball player. He's been a basketball player since he's 5 years old. So, he's played a lot of club basketball, a lot of competitive basketball. He loves it. And they both epitomize passion for their sports. Like, they'll go out in the rain. They'll go out late into the night. I've had to set up lights for my son to go shoot baskets. I mean, tell him the neighbors are upset. He's bouncing the ball. I mean, that's kind of what you think about when you think about passion. But again, so that got me thinking, okay, so where does this come from? What separates this? What's unique about it? And when we study it, and especially among entrepreneurs, we've learned a couple things. Number one, passion comes from your identity. It comes from things that, and by that, I mean, it comes from activities that tend to define you as an individual. So when you answer the question, who am I? And whatever is on the end of that, like you say, look, I'm a professor, I'm a military officer, I'm a father, I'm a friend, I'm a football player, I'm whatever that is, that those activities are the ones about which you're much more likely to be passionate. Okay? And that's relevant for entrepreneurship. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute. And the other thing we know about passion is there tends to be harmonious and obsessive. So there's two different types. There's two primary types. Harmonious passions are passions that you love to do it, but you can walk away from it. And that's kind of embedded in the name. It integrates harmoniously with the rest of your life, okay? Obsessive passions don't integrate harmoniously. You're obsessive, meaning you have to do it regardless, all right? And by its nature, then it crowds out other things in your life, okay? So here's a quick example. You've got an entrepreneur who's a restaurant owner, owns a restaurant and loves it. He's passionate about it. His son's got a basketball game on the weekend at night when the restaurant's open. The harmoniously passionate entrepreneur can walk away from the restaurant and say, you know what? I can step away from this. It's okay. I'll go to my son's basketball game. I'll enjoy it. And then when it's done, I'll come back to work. That's no problem. Doesn't feel guilty about it. Has no problem doing it. The obsessively passionate entrepreneur can't do that. One, often they can't leave the activity. So you can see it crowds out other things in their life that are important, like other relationships. Two, if they are able to do it, they feel guilty about it. Meaning I'm watching basketball, but the whole time I feel like, I'm beating myself up. I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. I should be at the restaurant. Okay. So as you can imagine, you can imagine either in your own life, maybe in some of your own activities, definitely friends, relatives that fall on different spectrums of that, right? So why does that matter? Well, we know that both types of passion can lead to performance, but obsessive passion over time tends to lead to burnout, tends to lead to exhaustion. So when we talk about entrepreneurs, many of them are obsessive, especially early on. And they say you have to be. They say when you're starting a venture, look, you're sleeping in the office. It may require that because you're trying to get this thing off the ground and it doesn't move unless you move it. But especially the experienced ones, they say you've got to modulate that. You know, that you can't sleep in the office for the entire time of being an entrepreneur. You'll burn out and you'll burn your people out too. You can't do that. You got to watch that. So that's one of the things we know, like whenever you're engaging your passion, it definitely drives your motivation, but there's a dark side to it and you have to be aware of that. You have to be ready to manage it. Okay. So I've got this complicated chart up here, and there's a lot of, this is just kind of it's a chart we often use in research. On the right side of the chart, you've got a lot of outcomes of passion, things that we know passion leads to. I'm really less interested in that. What I really want to talk to you guys about is the left side, okay, where it says antecedents. Because whenever I teach students in entrepreneurship, we talk about like, it's good to be passionate about whatever your idea is, right? And the next question then is, okay, well, how do you build passion? Like, where's passion come from? Because if you think about it, you weren't born passionate, right? You weren't born passionate about whatever you're passionate about. If that's sports, if that's your venture idea, whatever. The passion came over time. So the next question after that then is, well, where did it come from then? Like, where do my passions come from? How do I build passion? Or in other individuals, where does it come from? And I've already mentioned, we know it comes from identity, things that you hold near and dear. It comes from effort, meaning things that you tend to invest a lot of effort in. If you put a lot of effort into it, you're much more likely to be passionate about it. The flip side, it's hard to be passionate about something that you really don't do. You might think, I might be passionate about that in the future, but if you're not doing a lot of it now, it's hard to be passionate about it, okay? And then lastly, self-efficacy. You tend to be passionate about things you're good at. So I'll use a personal example, like water skiing. Okay, my wife's an avid water skier; she's very good at it. I thought I would love it. I tend to think of myself as athletic. You know, my kids would disagree, but I tend to like athletic activities. I'm generally pretty coordinated, but for the life of me, man, I can't stand up on water skis. I can't do it. So going in, I thought I would love water skiing. I thought I would be passionate about it, but I suck at water skiing. A day water skiing is basically a day for me being dragged behind a boat, drinking a lake. That's it. So, but there are other things that I do that I am better at, that I'm passionate at. So why this matters, when you look for venture ideas, and I'm going to transition to that real shortly here, because I think that's interesting, and I want to talk to you guys about that. Start by looking in areas, or this is what I often tell my students, like hobbies, activities, things that you do a lot, things that you're good at. Because those things that you immerse yourselves in, those activities that you spend a lot of time in, you're much more likely to have a passion. So if you find problems in those areas, problems to solve that could become businesses, you've got a leg up because you've got efficacy in that area. You're good at whatever that activity is. You've already invested effort in that throughout your life. It might already be part of your identity. So you're much more likely to be passionate about that idea, as opposed to just looking for any problem and saying, yeah, I could get passionate about that, versus starting with an activity where you're like, you know what, I'm into this. This is something I like. That's one of the ways, and that's what I want to transition to. I've got some stuff in here about, dealing with exhaustion as an entrepreneur, but I'll be honest, I'm jumping ahead because to me, the interesting thing is where ideas come from. So I want to talk briefly about that. And then if you guys get bored with this, or you think it's redundant and would rather hear the stuff about exhaustion, just tell me in the chat, or, yell it out to Laura, or just unmute yourself, and tell me that this is boring. I'm happy to transition out of that, but I mean, this is stuff that often when I'm talking to my students, I get fired up about this. So, okay. When we talk about starting ventures, one of the things that often comes up a lot is, people want to know where in the world ideas come from. So, because, we talk about like a venture's built on an idea, but my students always struggle like, okay, well, where do I get that one idea? Where does it come from? So to that point, I think this book here, The Lean Startup, it talks about hypothesis-driven entrepreneurship, but really this book I think is applicable to anyone that's going into business because it talks about innovation in general and the process by which you can systematize creativity, that you can take the requirement to have that one great idea out and learn a process to generate ideas, good ideas. That's why I think this book is important. And to that point, like it says here on the slide, it's important to remember that when you're starting up, when you're trying to find that initial idea, growing this thing to a big business, that's not your goal. Okay, that's not like, it's often, many times my students, they jump right to, they want to be Jeff Bezos. They want to be, they want to be running Amazon. They want to be Howard Schultz. It's Starbucks. I want to be Bill Gates. I want to be Zuckerberg. That's not it. Okay. The whole point of the startup is you're just trying to find a scalable business idea. That's what you're trying to find, not trying to grow it. You're just trying to find this migraine headache of a problem. And the competitive advantage comes from learning this process of iterating, learning this process of figuring out what customers want, okay? What's their headache, all right? So you're a detective. Yeah, I'm not good at running slides. You're a detective, okay? And by that, I mean, your job is not to come up with a great idea. Your job is just to come up with an initial idea. And then with that, you got to go talk to people, okay? You got to go talk to people and start figuring out, is my idea good or is my idea not? Okay, you brainstorm individually or in your group for a little while, but then it's this process called getting out of the building, right? You got to go talk to people and iterate and say, look, is my idea good? Is it not good? What do you think about it? And you got to listen to customers. Okay, if you listen to customers, they will lead you to the better idea. They will lead you to what their problem is. You're looking for customer migraines. Okay, the biggest thing, I judge a ton of business competitions, and the biggest issue is that right from the get-go, the problem they're working on isn't a problem. They didn't spend enough time in stage one looking for that sticky problem. Okay. And so what I want to do now with 2 minutes left, I'm going to jump forward. I just want to talk about, I'm going to give you guys some examples because, when we talk about creativity, one of the things about being more creative is just exposing yourself to a lot of ideas. Okay. It's exposing yourself to, let me find ideas and problems. And let me hear about other ideas and problems, and that'll spark my own creative thought process. So on this list, I've got a bunch of different student ventures that I've coached where none of these kids started with this great idea, brainstormed it. Every single one of them sat down with a group. They thought of some idea initially, then they went out and talked to customers. And they came back and said, I said, well, what did they think? The students all said, my idea sucked. But they listened. They said, okay, tell me why it sucks. Tell me what the real problem is. Tell me what your headache is when you deal with whatever it is in this hobby, in this activity, in this business daily. And they listened and they iterated. Then they re-wickered it. They went back out and they said, okay, what do you think now? And they said, that's better. Your idea still sucks, but it doesn't suck as much. But see, the real key is the kids learned very quickly, you know what? Don't worry about getting told my idea is bad. Just tell me what's bad about it and I'll fix it and I'll come back to you and I'll come back to you and I'll come back. And through that iterative process, they iterate to the good idea. Okay, so let me give you a couple examples. So that number one, duck bus, that's hunting for ducks. So duck hunters. Okay, I had a student, avid duck hunter. And when you talk to duck hunters, they use decoys. I didn't know that. I don't hunt ducks. I don't know anything about it, but you need decoys. And the way these duck hunters carry decoys out into the field is in a bag. So you can imagine a bunch of life-size ducks clanging around in a bag, and you need a lot of them. So if you don't duck hunt, apparently you need a lot of ducks, a lot of decoys, because ducks don't like to land in a pond where there's only one decoy. They want, it's like Yelp. Like they search the pond based on how many ducks are actually in the pond. So I need to carry a lot of decoys, and they're life size because ducks are smart. If you got tiny little decoys, that's not a real decoy. Life size decoys that are expensive, banging around in this bag. And these hunters are like, there's got to be a better way, man. This is not the right way. So they go to Cabela's, they go to Bass Pro, they go to Sportsman's Warehouse, they talk, and they come up with basically this PVC, just light frame that fits around a backpack, super lightweight, it floats. That you just put your decoys on. There's this little slot on there, and you just slot your ducks on there. Instead of carrying them on a bag, they're on this frame. They don't bang around. It sits on your back. It's not unwieldy. It's not, perfect. And, they went out there and already they go into Bass Pro with that idea. And, you got some hunters there going, look, are you selling the prototype? If you're selling that prototype, we'll buy it from you. That's what we want. Okay. I mean, that's a perfect idea. I'm going to jump to that fourth one down there, clean collar. That's another one. So that idea, I had a group, 3 girls, really into fashion, love trying on clothes. They said one of the issues, they were really concerned about makeup when you try on clothes. They said when you go into stores and try on clothes, you tend to get makeup on your clothes. So they were trying to come up with these sprays to fix your, make the makeup wouldn't come off. And they went into one store and they were talking to the woman and she said, if you were just something disposable that the people could wear when they try on the clothes, that'd be great. So the students said, yeah, we're overcomplicating this. They came back and it's basically, they came with this little removable, disposable tissue thing. You just put around the collar of whatever dress, whatever top you're wearing. And they brought it back to the retailer. The retailer said, that's great. The retailer actually said, we don't order white clothes and we don't allow patrons to try on white clothes, even though we know we'd sell them in droves, because they get makeup on them. We can't clean them. We can't sell them that. I mean, it's just too expensive. So these students came up with that. I mean, they won the competition hands down. But I mean, with something simple like that, but they got there by iterating with people. Okay. So look, I've been talking too much. I meant to leave 10 minutes for questions till I got to leave to teach class. Let me break down and see if anybody's got questions or you want to talk about stuff, or I'll talk about these other ideas, whatever you guys would prefer. If you guys want to hear more war stories about ideas.
All right, Chuck, it looks like I have a couple questions in the Q&A. And if anybody else has questions, feel free to add them. The first one is what to do if you're hesitant about sharing your ideas with others and at the same time you really want to talk about it and share it and listen to what people think. How do you balance?
Yeah, no, that comes up a lot. And so that is a valid concern if you've got if you've done a lot of development, if you've got look, this idea is already pretty far down the road, pretty developed, and you're getting ready to patent it, if you got intellectual property concerns. I mean, if it's at that point, yeah, then it's a concern. If it's before that, most of the time, those fears are overblown. Most of the time, talking about it at an early stage, you're going to get more benefit out of the feedback than you need to worry about the proprietariness of the idea. Here's the other concern too. I mean, remember, if you've got an initial idea, but that idea is going to pivot and iterate and change over time, then it doesn't matter what the initial idea was. Like if you patented the initial idea, but then change it 3 times before it goes to market, the initial patent's worthless anyway. It's obsolete. You're not protecting what the final product is. So in general, I caution students, look, get feedback. I mean, try to get feedback. Or, look, talk to people that you're pretty darn sure are going to steal your head. Most of your professors, look, man, all these ideas on the screen. I had a bunch of these ideas initially. I'm like, look, you guys go chase it. I'm not chasing it. I mean, it's share, get people involved. The feedback is worth more generally early on.
All right, good. Another question is, has been your favorite project that you've seen and who did it?
So a couple, I love that duck bus one, the clean collar one. Honestly, the one that I thought was genius, that wheelchair umbrella. So a bunch of students, they had so basically people in wheelchairs, they have no way to protect themselves from the rain. They can hold their own umbrella, but they're like, there's no cover. There's no way for us to have a cover, and holding an umbrella while I'm operating a wheelchair is tough. So this group, they had someone in their group, a family members in a wheelchair. They came up with this, portable rain cover that would honestly, and that one, another one, they got real investment interest. That's one of my favorites because you see, guys, this is why I keep talking about chase ideas and hobbies too, and niches, because none of these ideas is so big that a big company said, oh yeah, we want that. They're small, they're niche ideas. They're definitely worth chasing, but they're small enough that you can chase it yourself and build a business around it. And you're not trying to cure the world's ideas. You're just trying to find a way to carry duck decoys. That's it. Or just an umbrella for people that are in wheelchair, smaller ideas, something that you can make money at, but Nike's not trying to solve this problem. So it's doable. So niche ideas, work on niches, profitable niches.
All right. So somebody else had a question about that passion doesn't necessarily mean you'd be good at running a business. How does one think about pursuing their passion in a sustainable way?
Yeah, that's a good question. So generally businesses are run in teams. You're right about that. It doesn't, just because you're passionate about the idea doesn't mean you're good at running the business. But just about any, so any business, you need to have someone that's passionate about solving the problem, okay, the initial problem. And that, that's what I'm suggesting. That needs to be you as the entrepreneur. Be passionate about solving that initial problem. And then you're going to need to look for, okay, I need to find someone that's good at marketing, good at raising money, maybe good at has run a business before. I'm going to need help. So I'm going to need to build a team. But, you should be passionate, solve the problem. Okay. Now, as you get further in your career, it's a great question, because I do know individuals that as they move further in their entrepreneurial career, they said, look, I'm really good at marketing. So now I'm not the idea guy anymore, but I'm the business guy. You can evolve to that later on in your career. But initially, understand it's not all going to be on you. You're going to build a team. Okay. You're going to need to find people. But, find that problem first. Take things in order. Don't worry about building the business until there's a business to build, for lack of a better term.
That's good feedback. So I have two questions that deal with the same thing about kind of your comment about exhaustion and burnout, of how does one deal with burnout or keeping the momentum going so you're striving to your goals. Yeah.
Okay. So short-term, long-term. Short-term, you're going to be tired. It's kind of like we talk a lot about, Jeff might be the only one that gets this one. You're in grad school, man. You're going to get tired as a doc student. As an entrepreneur, initially, you're going to be burning the midnight oil. You're going to be really tired. Just be ready for that. Expect that. If you're not tired, if you are tired, that's good. That means you're working hard enough. Okay. So how do you modulate it long term? Long term, there are different ways. Entrepreneurs, they like to work out. They tend to take time for themselves to work out. So the other thing that's on the middle part of this presentation, mindfulness practices. So meditation, a lot of entrepreneurs use things like prayer, but this whole category of mindfulness is this idea of non-judgmental awareness. So getting in touch with who you are through meditation or prayer or whatnot, and just sort of centering yourself. And then by that, I mean understanding, look, just because I'm tired, just because I'm upset, or just because these things normally trigger me, that doesn't mean I have to get triggered right now. I'm tired. Noticing that, understanding that I'm tired, that's going to lead to a lot of other reactions, a lot of other things. And don't beat yourself up about it. Say, look, I'm tired. It's good that I notice that I'm tired. It's good that I'm noticing that I'm irritable right now. But just because I'm irritable doesn't mean I need to snap at people. It doesn't mean I need to react in a bad way. It doesn't mean, XXX. So you're breaking that chain of thought. That's what mindfulness and meditation is meant to do. But, the short answer to that question, mindfulness. Our research shows mindfulness is a real way. When you can't sleep more, mindfulness can help you deal with exhaustion in a powerful way.
That's really good feedback. It makes me want to take all of your classes now. Does anyone else have any questions they would like to have Chuck answer before we let him go teach his class?
Yeah, so I'm going to jump. As you guys are writing, if you're writing anything on the chat to Laura, let me just say this, guys. I love talking about ideas, okay? And I love, because when I teach my class, I teach on creativity, the notion of creativity and where it comes from. How do you be more creative? One of the things that creativity experts talk about is you become more creative by exposing yourself to more and more ideas. If you guys want, and if it's available, I'm happy to come back here and do this and just talk about other ideas I've seen that work, like other ideas in niche areas that work. And then I don't need to talk about research. Now, if that's redundant or you guys like, look, that's a waste of my time, then fine. Tell Laura that, tell Laura, look, I don't want to see Chuck Murnieks ever again. That's perfectly fine. I don't want to waste your time. But if you guys want, I love, because again, the biggest thing I see multiple times as either a venture coach, as a judge at competitions, students that are trying to solve a problem that's not a problem. You can tell this group, they were so worried about getting to the solving stage. They didn't spend enough time in the problem stage. You got to find that sticky problem, that problem that the minute you say it, the investor, the venture coach is like, yes, that's a good, I don't have a solution for that. And I would pay for that if you could solve that. Okay. That's that. And that takes effort it takes time to get there. Okay. Laura, I got to go. So like I said, if anybody's got feedback, if they want more on that, I'm happy to do it sometime in the winter, or if not, if you guys are booked or whatnot, you just say the word and that's fine. I'm not offended. Okay.
No, I think that's a great thing, because I know many students struggle with the idea phase. So thank you so much for presenting tonight and introducing yourself to all of our students. And definitely look for Chuck's classes so you can learn more from him next semester. So we'll let you go teach, and then I'm going to turn it over.
Jump out here and go teach, guys. I'll see you later. Good luck.
Thank you. And I am now going to turn it over to Brian Boots to kind of discuss our Rue Jump idea.
Well, welcome back. It's me again. So thank you once again, Dr. Murnieks. That was, I think, some great points and also inspiring points, and also directly related to the second portion of our program this evening, which is showcasing the finalists for our fall 2020 edition of the Rue Idea Jump. So what is the Rue Idea Jump? If you've not heard of it before, if you didn't apply, you should certainly apply the next time we do it. But it's a competition that we offer to seek out the big entrepreneurial ideas that you all have. And we received a really strong pool of applicants this fall. And we want to share with you the ideas from all of the finalist teams that rose to the top of the application process. So we have three finalist teams. Every single one of them has already won $1,000 by being a finalist. If you're in the audience, every single one of you in the audience has a vote at the end of this evening to help us select an audience choice prize winner in addition to the prizes that they've already won. We will award an additional $250 audience choice award to the team that gets the most votes from all of you. So we're going to share a little bit about the venture ideas first, and then we will open it up for a brief feedback and Q&A period with the finalists. So just really quickly, if you are looking for another chance to win money for your venture, if you didn't apply to Rue Idea Jump, or if you did and you didn't make it through to the finalist stage, you don't have to wait very long to have another chance to give it another go. Every spring, we do our Rainier Venture Creation Challenge, which is similar in some ways to Rue Idea Jump, but it's a lot bigger event. We give away cash prizes to help you start or grow your business or your business idea. So that will take place in April of 2021, which I know seems like it's a long ways away, but it's not that long away. If you go to this link here, tinyurl.com/RVCC 2021, more info, I'll put that in the chat in just a moment. You can sign up to get updates about this competition as they become available, and there's also a little bit more information there. Let me put this really quickly in the chat. All right. So I mentioned that we will have a period for feedback and for Q&A with our student ventures. And so what that will look like is we invited an expert panel this evening to have first take at feedback and questions for the students. After they've shared their feedback and or questions with the students, we will open it up to you, the general public, for any questions or feedback that you have, if any. We'll take 5 minutes per venture to do that. So I want to thank Terry Jordan and Brian Shannon for joining us to be on our expert panel tonight. I've known them both for, I guess, coming up on almost 5 years now. Both of them came through our eScholars program, which you've already heard mentioned a couple times, and they have built their businesses during eScholars and after finishing eScholars into successful enterprises. In the case of Terry is the founder of a company called WiseWebs, and I hope I don't embarrass you too much with this, Terry, but I think it's relevant to some of the things that Dr. Murnieks was saying. which is your idea is going to change over time. If you come into our eScholars program with an idea that for a business that you want to start, expect it to look different from day 1 to day 90. Terry came into the program with one idea for a subscription box, in short, and she gave it a go, and it was actually it was meeting with some success. But Terry also has a background in web development and web design, and she discovered that she had a pretty big opportunity to start a web development shop, which is exactly what she did. So she pivoted into the web development idea instead, and she's been doing it ever since with a lot of success. It's a company that's been doing very well. Brian, you may have heard him if you were a student last semester here at the Block School. You may have heard Brian speak already. He was our first Wednesday speaker in March, and Brian studied undergraduate at UMKC, and he had an idea at the time. This was back in 2007 or so. Had an idea for a business that he wanted to start at the time, and then he graduated, kind of set the idea aside, went and got a job, started a different business, and years later, in 2016, he decided to pick up the idea and give it a go. He gave it a go in our eScholars program, finished up the program, and continued launching and growing the business after eScholars. Did that, and in early 2019, his venture was acquired by a large fintech company. And so both of them bring really great expertise and experience to the stage tonight. And for our students, they've literally been in your seat before in multiple ways. And so I hope the comments, the feedback, and the questions that they have to share with you, that you find them valuable and know that they're coming from a place of understanding of directly where you've been. So with that, we're going to go into our showcasing our ventures. So our first venture is Home Essential Vending. Founder is Jada Steele. Jada is an MBA student in the Block School and also in our eScholars program currently.
Home Essential Vending. My name is Jada Steele. I'm a professional Master of Business Administration student at University of Missouri, Kansas City. I'm currently in the eScholars program at the university, where I have been receiving mentorship as well as just very guided practice and critiques from UMKC professionals and professionals throughout Kansas City, Missouri. Meet Fred. He's a bit worried because he's realized it's 10 p.m. and he forgot to do his laundry for work tomorrow. To make matters worse, he's out of laundry detergent. He lives on the 12th floor of his apartment, so going to get detergent at this time of night is out of the question. He's left with two options: wear last week's dirty laundry or shop at home. That's where we come in. Who are we, you may ask? We're an innovative, digital, essential item vending machine. We have a product that is unlike anything consumers or operators have seen in an apartment complex. Our promise is to give tenants the option to shop at home by housing readily available wellness items in their apartment building. What we specialize in, assisting in urgencies and the big one, convenience. Our job is to better convenience the tenants. Home amenities. Our vending machine will house products from education, sanitation products, first aid products, kitchen, toiletries, groceries, family planning, you name it, we'll have it all. They're going to be readily available for tenants to use at their own discretion. Did you know $20 billion is earned from vending machines annually in the USA? This just shows there's a market, and I'm here to target that market. What we know about our target market is that they're high-earning renters living in high-end apartments. Statistics show that 92,000 residents in Kansas City, Missouri are winter occupied. And of that 92,000, 33,000 of them are paying more than $1,000 a rent per month. This just shows that our target market is bigger than we know. Show me the goods. Our vending machine will be large in capacity, having up to 20 aisles that are adjustable, and they'll have a sensor track. That way, they'll be able to guarantee product delivery. We'll also have ads and promotions on our touch-free digital screen. Management and tenants can regularly post ads and promotions for guests to view. More in terms of our touchscreen, we'll have digital signage on each vending machine. So when someone touches the screen, they will automatically see the products that we have to offer. We'll also have touchless payments. This will tie into our efficiency fee. We'll have Apple Pay, Google Pay, QR code pay, as well as debit and credit options. Financials, let's get into it. I'm requesting $25,000 for this vending venture. Ideally, this will be able to award me 2 vending machines, products for 2 years, and licensing. This will definitely be paid back in a very substantial rate, just because we will have a very good convenience fee that will be placed on all the products. Our products will definitely be budget friendly, but I did mention that 25% convenience fee that will be placed on all products in our machine. Picture this. A Dove deodorant stick store price is $4.88. After a person pays for taxes, they're easily paying $5.32. Our vending machine will house the products at $6.10, automatically getting that 25% service convenience fee that I mentioned before. Shopping at home is perfect for convenience and efficiency. Thank you. If you need to get in touch with me, here's my information with my phone number and email address.
All right, well done, Jada. So I see that you're on the call. If you're able to, could you please turn on your camera and microphone for the Q&A session? Welcome. So we're gonna give time first to our expert panel for feedback and or questions, and then time permitting, after that we will allow for feedback and or Q&A from the audience. So I'll keep an eye on the time just to be sure we're getting everybody out of here in a timely manner. And Terry or Brian, we'll open it up to you.
Sure, I can jump in. This is Terry. So great presentation and great idea. Thank you so much for everything you've put together. So I do have a couple quick questions for you. As we know, any successful business is going to enter into mutually beneficial partnerships. So in looking at the apartment complex, I guess I would say, what's in it for them? Have you talked to, or thought through how you might partner with them? Are they getting a cut? Does that come into your profit margin? All that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, totally. So just initially, this product is very multifunctional. So yes, this presentation is solely for apartments, but there's so much expansion for dormitories and things of that nature. So already I do have a partnership with actual UMKC. They've actually agreed to let me pilot my product in their building. So just because it's a pilot, I won't have to pay anything for now. But what's in it for them, for the students or for the tenants, is just the convenience, not having to leave from their homes, and especially with the rise of cases of COVID, it'll just be safer to shop at home.
Okay, so I just want to follow up on that question. So that's great, and congratulations to you for leveraging your relationship with UMKC, and I think it's wonderful that they're doing that, helping you out there. Are you anticipating that an apartment complex would receive some kind of are you going to pay them to let you put your machines there? Are they getting a percentage? How does that work?
Yes, so there will most likely be just a standard fixed rate for rent per month. Just based off my machine, I'm not using any refrigeration or anything. So I would just solely need electricity and a spot. So I've talked to a couple of apartment complexes, and their average is about $150 per month maximum.
Okay. And then one other question, I'll be respectful to my other panelists and let him ask you some questions. Do you know how long, or have you anticipated how long it's going to take for you to pay off your machines?
Yes, actually I have. I've done all the financials, And it's looking like just within year one, I'll be able to pay off one machine. Year one profit is looking at close to $40,000 for one machine. And that initial investment will be $10,000 for the machine, close roughly about $2,500 for the product. So I'll definitely be able to pay that off within the first year of business.
Okay, and I do have other questions, but I'm gonna hand it back over to him so he can ask you some questions.
Hey, Jada, great presentation. I can't tell you how much I would have appreciated something like this when I was in college as well. A couple questions for you. Have you thought through costs associated with the upkeep of the machines?
Yes, so I have definitely looked into those expenses with just the overhead costs. And it's looking at closely just with maintenance or maybe with electricity and just the people who have to probably switch out the products. We're looking at roughly around $200 to $250 a month just for those overhead expenses.
Okay. And then can you talk to me a little bit about some of the customer experience surveys that you may have done around this? Like what really excites your potential customers about using your product?
Yeah, I think just as a catchy name to either dorm in or just to shop at home. A lot of students have that risk of safety, like I said, with COVID, or just risk of safety with maybe leaving their dorms at night or at 10 p.m. as a female, leaving your dorm. Just being able to stay in the comfort of your own home automatically sparks the attention of all the tenants or the customers that will be using it for sure.
Perfect. Final question. In terms of inventory churn, how frequently do you anticipate needing to replace items in your vending machines?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've kind of did all the numbers of the projected financials, and I'm hoping to turn products every 30 days, but it just kind of depends on the demand. So if the demand is higher, of course, we will have to turn those products maybe bi-weekly. It just kind of depends on the demand, but the financials are based off of 30 days.
Right. It looks like we've got about a minute left for questions. I see that there's a couple in the Q&A box. Jada, one question is, what's your target market?
Yeah, absolutely. So my target market, have two different target markets right now. If we're talking about dorms, it's definitely between those college students, maybe between the ages of 18 to 22, or those students who don't have cars on campus. It can be extremely convenient for them. And if we're speaking of apartments, we're definitely talking about those high renters, those ones who do not, they don't have a problem paying over $1,200 a month for rent. Those are the type of people that we want to target. And I see another question of will there be a product suggestion box? Absolutely. We're going to try to do everything touchless. So we'll actually have a display screen that you can go online and just kind of put your suggestions in as the months go by.
Good. Thank you very much, Jada, and Terry and Brian as well. That's all the time that we have for questions for this presentation. So we're going to move on to the second team now, which I believe is Generation Green. Yes. So Generation Green, we'll go ahead and roll the video, and then we'll do a similar Q&A and feedback period.
Hello, my name is Meredith Ordinal from Generation Green, and this is the bottle board. Generation Green started upon two distinct but common problems we face not only in Kansas City, but throughout most of the world. In Missouri alone, over 3 million pounds of plastic is wasted every day, and these end up on rivers and lakes. At the same time, teachers do not have enough of the necessary classroom materials such as handheld whiteboards. Without access to these tools, the materials are often shared between classrooms, which decreases them as effective teaching methods for select subjects. We saw this as an opportunity to extend our helping hand and solve the two problems with one brilliant solution. Generation Green created the bottle boards, which are colorful, wet and dry erase board made up of 100% recycled Chateau milk lids. Our product fits into the market because there are thousands of teachers within the Kansas City metro using their own funds to buy school supplies. These teachers regularly buy the normal dry and wet erase board, but these are not sustainable due to the poor quality. So cracking and peeling often occurs. The bottle board is almost impossible to crack and affordable. In the long run, it is more cost efficient as teachers will not have to buy over and over again. Plus, it can be customized to show school spirit. The primary target customers of the bottle boards are, as previously said, teachers. Generation Green will settle educators in the KC Metro who use dry and wet erase boards as a teaching tool. Of course, the more customers, the better. So any professionals, community leaders, small businesses, eco-conscious individuals can also purchase their own board. Who doesn't want a cost-effective, sustainable teaching tool that make learning fun? Now, why should these individuals buy the bottle board? Our venture is quite unique because repurposing plastic into a board that you can write on is unheard of. It's an awesome way to reduce and repurpose plastic waste. When we performed competitive analysis by looking through store aisles and online, there are no companies who offer handheld, fully sustainable wet and dry erase boards. Traditional handheld whiteboards often used in elementary classrooms to engage learning aren't durable. They are thin and only have a small coating that can easily be chipped off. Additionally, they have a backing that doesn't function. The dull brown backs in the back are often written on by kids and you can't really remove those. Using 100% plastics gathered by a Kansas City partner, we have mitigated the need for wasting new materials on low-quality boards. Bottle boards far exceed in quality and endurance, and again, in the long run, it is cost-efficient. In terms of our financial model, Generation Green will be selling these as regular bottle boards, meaning the customer will get a random color for $2, or customized bottle boards for $3, to which customers are able to request a preferred color. Our current expenses are the machines and equipment for production. We have about $5,000 of approved funds from grants to be able to purchase these expenses. By May 2021, we are aiming to sell 1,000 boards to pay back for at least half of the $5,000 by the end of the year. Before lockdown, we were able to get the gears rolling and put the product out into the public and made $100 off of regular boards and $91 off of customized bottle boards. And that's just from February and March. So the team is pretty optimistic that we will reach the 1,000 board goal. Looking ahead, the plan is that Generation Green will gain revenue by selling $2 regular boards and $3 customized boards. With a strategic sales and marketing approach, the team hopes to garner great outcomes in order to grow the venture. Within the next 5 years, new product lines will be introduced to maintain market presence and sustain growth. And then profits from sales will be used to fund ongoing operations as we expand to include paid employees to make sure production is meeting the demand. And yeah, that's it for the bottle board. I hope the venture has got you intrigued. Thank you.
Right. Well done, Meredith, and the rest of the team as well. Meredith, if you could go ahead and turn on your camera and your microphone, please, for the Q&A session. So we will, similar to last time, we'll hand it over first to Brian and Terry for their comments and their questions. And then we will, time permitting, take some questions from the audience.
Brian, I went first last time. Would you like to go first this time?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Terry. Meredith, great presentation. Did I hear you correctly in that you have already sold some of your boards in the public?
Yes, we have. Early this year, through some personal connection and some social media interest, we've gotten to sold some.
Awesome. Can you tell me some of the feedback that you've received from those customers, both positive and things that they would like to see improvements on?
They definitely love that there's a bunch of different colors that they can pick from, and the fact that it's you can write on it pretty smoothly. A negative fact is, of course, that in the beginning of the process, I guess kind of the shape is not as smooth as we would like to, but after kind of figuring out what can be done to be able to smooth the surface out, we were able to do that. And towards the end of before the lockdown, we've gotten some good feedback afterwards.
Awesome. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you aggregate the plastic used for the boards? Like, do you have one central supplier that you use, or what does that process look like?
We had a previous partner before, and that's where that was our workspace for the bottle board. And that partner, they're already directly receiving the plastics from Chateau Milk Lids, but we're not with them anymore. And right now we're currently working on trying to have connection to have gain plastic from Chateau Milk itself through that partnership.
Okay. I'm sorry, and now my last question, Terry, I promise. Have you thought through alternatives to capture your plastic if that opportunity falls through with Chateau?
That we have definitely looked into other plastic, other companies in Kansas City that do want to kind of social responsibility when it comes to plastic waste. We're still currently in research to do so, but Chateau Milk is pretty, they kind of have a program that allows them to donate plastic to other schools, and that's kind of like a partnership that we're looking into.
So I just have a couple quick questions, and Brian, if I'm at time, just let me know. So you kind of ran down your costs, but I didn't hear the cost to actually produce an item. Do you know that cost?
To actually produce the item, not specifically per amount, but to produce the item, of course, electricity would be there as well, and then just the overall picture would be the machinery and just the, I guess, time is kind of a cost as well. But since all the students are working on it for us, so we don't really have to worry about any paid employment at the moment. Okay.
I just would like to be able to compare that to the $2 and $3 customized, just to kind of see where that profit margin is. So the other thing I was wondering is when you're going through this process of melting down these plastics, is there any kind of like fumes or any environmental issue that you need to be concerned about? And can you do this like out of your home, out of like your garage, or do you have to do this in a well-ventilated, I'm assuming, area? Can you just run through that really quick?
Yeah, definitely do not do it at home because of the machinery itself. It's probably needed to be in a good environment to be able to do so. It comes to safety and any other fumes. We did some research on it and found that it's okay. We're doing the plastic that we're using is low density polyethylene, so that it's pretty safe to use. And we look through the legit sources, as in the OHSA, to be able to see that everything is safe. And also in the workspace itself, we are going to have some safety and handling instructions, so everyone that is over there knows what to do and how to handle everything.
Okay. And do you have any partnerships with schools right now, like agreements or partnerships in place?
Not directly. That's what we're hoping. Our team has connections. We know some teachers that we're hoping to talk to and convince the school itself in order to form that partnership.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you to our panelists, and thank you to Murniek. We are out of time for feedback and questions on this presentation. So we're going to move on to our third and final presentation and team for this evening. Sheila is founder of Polka Dotted Moonbeams Products, and she is also a current MBA student and also a current e-scholar here at UMKC.
Polka Dotted Moonbeams Products, a company with a mission to get local makers' products delivered to the doors of Kansas City's community. Small businesses are the backbone to our economy and the culture to our communities. We know this now more than ever with the outbreak of COVID-19. 54% of businesses are expected to or have already closed. Between producing inventory, keeping up with marketing, and managing logistics, getting products into consumers' hands can be a difficult process, not to mention time needing to create and get products ready for the market. When I saw this challenge in the market, I knew I had an opportunity to fix it. Through Polka Dotted Moonbeams Products, I curate local makers' products and then deliver them around in Kansas City on our Hot Mess Express. We also offer shipping across the United States. So I'm like, if Etsy came to life, introduce you to your favorite local maker, and then drop their goodies off at your doorstep each Friday. Edgy is my passion, and my heart is driven towards grassroots and bootstrap ventures. I have worked with local founders building successful businesses for over 20 years in the Kansas City area. At Polka Dot and Moonbeams, you will find quality products from local startups in their beginning phases, from lotions and edibles infused with CBD to delightful smelling candles and waxes and teas and tumblers with the funniest sayings. We love to support our community's up-and-coming artisans. In addition, all of our makers are vetted for the cleanest ingredients, and our patrons can expect top quality customer service. So I partner with local makers who offer me a 30 to 50% discount on the items I sell. I build brand awareness by posting on social media, giving my personal take on the product, and then collect and disperse orders. This brings in extra sales for the makers and gives them more time to focus on what they're really great at, which is creating amazingness. This also allows customers to purchase from multiple makers on one platform without having to deal with the hassles of logistics. We've gained invaluable insight with COVID-19 and have morphed from our hashtag Rona20 basket to a Casey combo bundle. These bundles include products from different makers, letting the customers experience multiple artisans in one set. We have found that customers really like the ability to try different products while purchasing at a slightly discounted rate. The makers sell more items, and us at Polka Dot and Moonbeam products increase our profit per stop, making this a triple win for makers, customers, and us. Polka Dot and Moonbeam's products have been growing at a steady rate of 5% each month. The growth rate is completely organic. We hit over 900 members in the past month, and our group interaction rate has increased from 24 to 35%. In September alone, we put over $10,000 back into the pockets of Casey's local makers and are currently on pace to do that again this month. We are also contacted by a local industry magazine called The Evolution. Since most CBD stores were closed during the first 3 months of COVID, The Evolution's vessel to reach customers dwindled. Our Hot Mess Express delivery was able to add a copy of their current edition to each of our orders. And in October, I was actually added as a contributing writer, another win-win for local makers and our customers. I am Sheila Watswick. I have completed degrees in accounting, business administration, and entrepreneurship. I'm currently enrolled in UMKC and the Professional Masters of Business Administration and the Entrepreneurship Scholars Program. And I am helping build local makers to build successful small businesses while bringing joy to porches all over Kansas City. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. Well done. And congrats on all of your success as well. So same deal as our first two student teams. We're going to take a feedback and Q&A portion. And we will start with, just to keep the rotation going, start with you, Terry. If you got a few questions or feedback for Sheila, we'll move to Brian, and then we'll open it up for the audience if there's time.
Yeah, Sheila, kudos to you for creating a solution to help local businesses, especially during this time. So I want to, extend gratitude to at least everybody in this city. So thank you very much for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, just a couple quick questions for you, and you answered a lot of them towards the end for me. So that was great. Do you know, have you mapped out, and do you have a set plan of certain routes that you do every day? Have you gotten your traveling logistics down? And if so, do you know what the average cost is per day, per week, per month?
Sure. So I only deliver on once a week. It's on Fridays, and it's free for all the customers to get the products delivered to their doors. I do, so each stop, I make about, the average is between $15 and $20 per stop that I do. I do about 35 stops, and logistically, I have a circle radius that I go through. It works out great that a lot of my makers are at the beginning of the route, so I pick up the products from them, and then I deliver to all the customers from North Kansas City to Kansas City, Gladstone, a little bit on the Kansas side, then I shoot down through Kansas City, Grandview, and then I go into Rainmore, Greenwood, Raintree area, then shoot up through Lee Summit, Independence, and then hit Buckner, circle back through to Grand Valley and in Blue Springs. So yeah.
Okay, so are you, what kind of a profit margin are you seeing then? Because it sounds like, I mean, you've kind of got it mapped out on Fridays, but are you able to turn a profit with fuel and cost of delivery expenses, things like that?
Yeah, so the $12 or $20 per stop, depending on the week, is exactly all that after those costs are taken out.
Okay, perfect. And then one other quick question, and I will pass it on. So you mentioned 300 miles, is that right?
So that is the available delivery route. Typically, my average that I actually do is around 120 to 175 each Friday, radius 120 to 175 miles. But there it is like a 300-mile radius area that I will deliver to.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was good to see you.
Sheila, really good presentation. Good job there. Talk to me a little bit about what this looks like at scale, because I understand that, you know, you're the one doing the deliveries currently, but if you have a massive explosion in your business, how do you fulfill the needs of the customer?
So that's a great question. I'm working with my mentor on figuring those out now, because it is definitely taking off a lot quicker than what I expected. So while we're working through it, it's a hard spot for me to be able to answer, because I love meeting with my makers personally every week. I love those relationships. I love the customer relationships that I build, especially when it has to do with CBD products or anything like that. I'm able to meet with them. So it's something that I'm working through and hoping to get a good conclusion, because I want to do it all, but I know if we move to scale, I'm not going to be able to do it all.
Do you think there would ever be a place to leverage fractional transportation or the gig economy that exists currently?
I don't know. You know, that's a great question too, and I'm not sure how it would go with expanding in that capacity.
Okay.
And maybe I'm not understanding your question 100%.
Sure. No, that's fair. So you're doing everything yourself currently, right? So when I talk about the gig economy, I'm referring to things like you're probably most familiar with like a Uber or DoorDash or places where individuals can pick up small routes in their area to earn a couple extra bucks, but you can still fulfill the needs and the requirements of your business and manage your overhead a little bit more effectively at scale.
That's a fascinating idea. It's very interesting. I like that very much so.
Well, good job today.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Right. That is all the time that we have for feedback and Q&A. There are, Sheila, and actually also Meredith, there are some questions in the Q&A box. You should be able to answer them if you click the type answer button. If you want to, you should be able to answer them by typing. But with that, we're going to move on to the highly anticipated portion of this evening, which is the Audience Choice Award portion. So in just a moment, you will see, there it is, you'll see a link on your screen. If you go to that link, you will be able to make your selection for which of the 3 teams that you heard tonight you think should take away the additional $250 bonus Audience Choice Award. And you will have to enter the password "Ruse are best" when you get to the voting page, and that's all lowercase. So we'll put this in the chat for you also, because we're going to move on to another slide here. So this is only going to be open for 3 minutes. So you have until about 6:13 to get your vote in, and we will tally them and announce the winner tonight as soon as voting closes. So get your vote in, hang tight, watch some commercials for a second from my colleague Laura, and we will announce the winner of the Audience Choice Award momentarily.
All right. The link is still in the chat, but I'm going to click forward on the slides. I'm going to again mention eScholars for taking applications for the next cohort for next semester. The application is currently on your screen. Many of our presenters tonight have participated in eScholars. If you have an idea that you'd like to explore and see if it's possible to launch, eScholars is the place for you to be. Go to the tiny URL on your screen and submit your application. If you have questions, you can email entrepreneurship@umkc.edu, and we'd be happy to kind of talk to you one-on-one. The next commercial I have is for the Rainier Venture Creation Challenge, as Brian mentioned earlier today. That is our annual pitch competition that will be held in April of 2021. If you are, we're still planning all of the timeline of the event and the application, but if you'd like to be on our email list to receive more information and be notified when applications are open, please go to tinyurl.com/RVCC2021 more information. This will add you to our email list and will notify you when the application process is open and the timeline for the competition. I'll make sure that one's also in chat. And the third announcement I have today, Generation Green is part of the Enactus Club at UMKC. If you would like to join and have ideas for possible other ventures, you can go to the URLs listed to learn more information about UMKC Enactus. They have lots of projects related to social change. Generation Green is one of them. They also have projects that look at food insecurities in Kansas City. They have projects that look at building schools in Africa. So lots of different interests. Check out them for more information. All right. While we're waiting for Brian to come back with our announcements, as always, if you are attending for extra credit for a class, you can go to our extra credit link at tinyurl.com/December First Wednesdays or DEC First One to submit for extra credit. Our next First Wednesdays will be February 3rd, 2021, surprising as that is, at 5 p.m. More information will be available in January. So we hope you can join us for our next First Wednesday series next semester.
Ooh, I want to cry. I don't think I go.
All right. We're going to let Brian tally for a few minutes. And unfortunately, you don't want me to sing and dance. If there are any other questions that people have, feel free to put those in chat. Peter just mentioned if you are interested in learning more about UMKC Enactus, you can reach him, and he put his email address in the the chat, so feel free to reach out to him to learn more about UMKC and Actis. Let me grab the attendance list. All right. Any other questions that people have or things they need while we're waiting for Brian? Feel free to put those in chat. Also, while we're waiting, if you have any ideas for other First Wednesday speakers that you would like to hear from, feel free to put those in chat. We'll use those as ideas.
All right, I'm back. All of the votes have been tallied. Thank you all for getting your votes in. We had really great participation in a number of votes, and I won't say specifically how many votes each team got, but I will say it was very close. So once again, congratulations to all of you tonight, and the team that is the winner of the Audience Choice Award is Home Essential Vending. Congratulations, Jada. Well done. So Jada, your Audience Choice Award will be added on to your finalist award for a total of $1,250. So with that, I want to thank everybody in the audience for coming tonight. I want to thank Dr. Murnieks, who spoke earlier this evening. I want to thank Laura for playing a PowerPoint driver. And I want to thank Terry and Brian for your time this evening to serve on our expert panel. It was great to see you both again. We appreciate your comments and your thought-provoking ideas for all of the students. Once again, if you're a student and you have an idea, or you want to have an idea and you want to get involved in entrepreneurship, there's lots of ways for you to do that at UMKC. So feel free to reach out to anybody on the Regnier Institute team, and we will see all of you back at our next First Wednesday in February 2021. Take care.